The smell of burnt coffee and stale toner filled the conference room when Mr. Collier slammed a folder onto the table in front of me. "Explain this." His voice was ice cold, his face twisted in that smug expression I'd learned to hate over 12 years. Inside were screenshots of my code repository, the one I'd built at home, on my own time, during weekends and sleepless nights. My personal project. My creation. "You used company resources for a side project," he said, arms crossed. "That's theft of intellectual property. You're terminated. Effective immediately." My stomach dropped. "That project is mine. I built it at home, on my own laptop." "Read your contract, genius." He pushed a highlighted document toward me. "Anything you create while employed here belongs to Crestview Technologies. You signed away your rights the day you started." The room tilted. Around the table, HR Director Patricia and my supervisor, Wesley, avoided my eyes. "This is insane. You can't. Security is waiting outside. Badge and laptop. Now." My 12-year career ended in 6 minutes. The walk to my desk felt like miles. Every coworker's had turned. Whispers followed me like a toxic cloud. "Did you hear? She stole company IP." I always knew something was off about her. 12 years, and she throws it away for some side hustle. My hands shook as I packed my few belongings into a cardboard box. A coffee mug my daughter, made in 3rd grade. A framed photo of my mom. My emergency granola bars. Security guard Bennett stood 3 feet away, watching like I might steal the stapler. "I'm sorry, Lena," he whispered. "This doesn't feel right." It wasn't right, but it was happening. Outside, January air hit my face like a slap. I sat in my car for 20 minutes, unable to turn the key. The humiliation was crushing, but underneath it, something else burned. Fury. Because Collier didn't know what he'd just done. He didn't know that his precious company ran entirely on software I'd built. Software he'd just accused me of stealing. My software. That night, I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. Just stared at my laptop screen, trembling with rage and disbelief. PulseLink, the system I developed 3 years ago, was embedded in every server at Crestview Technologies. It ran their client management, their payroll, their entire operational backbone. I pulled up the timestamps. The original code upload, March 2019. 6 months before I even interviewed at Crestview. It was mine. Legally, provably, undeniably mine. I'd built PulseLink in my garage apartment, unemployed and desperate, teaching myself advanced programming through YouTube tutorials and library books. When Crestview hired me, I'd offered them a licensing agreement. Collier laughed. "We don't need a license for your little hobby project. Just integrate it into our systems." So I had. Under a private license that I controlled. That I owned. And Collier had just fired me for stealing the very thing that kept his company running. The irony would have been funny if I wasn't shaking with fury. I remembered my first interview with Collier like it was yesterday. He'd leaned back in his leather chair, fingers steepled, that condescending smile on his face. "We like initiative here, Lena. But remember, everything you create while employed belongs to us. We own your output. That's just how business works." He'd laughed then, like it was a joke. Like I should be grateful for the opportunity. But that laugh echoed differently now. He hadn't been joking. He'd been warning me. Claiming ownership of my mind, my time, my creativity. For 12 years, I'd stayed late fixing their broken systems. Unpaid overtime. Emergency calls at 2 a.m. Weekends spent debugging code, while my daughter played alone in the next room. And when I'd asked for a raise last year, Collier had actually said, "At least you're replaceable." Every insult replayed now in sharp detail. Every overlooked promotion. Every maybe next quarter that never came. Every time Wesley took credit for my work in meetings. By the time I closed my laptop at 3 a.m., humiliation had crystallized into something harder. Resolve. Morning came gray and cold. I called my patent attorney, Aisha Patel, the lawyer I'd hired 2 years ago when I first sensed Crestview might try something like this. "Lena? What happened?" I explained everything. The accusation. The termination. Collier's smug face. When I finished, Aisha laughed, a sharp, delighted sound. They fired you for stealing your own invention? The one you hold a provisional patent for? Yes. And they're currently using that invention to run their entire business? Every system. Everything. Then let's make them regret it. Forward me everything: employment contract, patent filing, licensing agreement, email chains. We're going to bury them. Her confidence was a lifeline. For the first time since yesterday, I felt like I could breathe. What happens next? Next we wait for them to breach your license. Then we strike. We spent the next 3 days building our case. Every email I'd ever sent about PulseLink. Every Git commit shows development dates. Every timestamp proving I'd created the system before Crestview existed in my life. The evidence was overwhelming. I developed PulseLink entirely independently. Crestview had no legal claim to it whatsoever. But they'd built their entire infrastructure around my architecture. Client databases, financial systems, internal communications. All of it ran on PulseLink. How dependent are they? Aisha asked during our third call. I pulled up the system architecture diagram. If PulseLink goes down, everything goes down. They'd have maybe 72 hours before clients started filing breach of contract suits. And you control the license? Completely. It's set to auto-renew monthly, but I can revoke access with one click. Silence. Then, how long until the next renewal date? I checked. 5 days. Perfect. Don't renew. Let them breach first. Then we file. My hand hovered over the calendar reminder. 5 days. 5 days to watch the people who destroyed me walk straight into ruin. Done. The waiting was torture. I checked my email obsessively, expecting what? An apology? An explanation? Some acknowledgement that they'd made a catastrophic mistake? Nothing. Radio silence. Then my former coworker, Nina, messaged me on Signal. Lena, what happened? Everyone's freaking out. Collier's telling people you sabotaged the systems before you left. Sabotaged? I hadn't touched anything. Just stopped providing free labor to a company that fired me. Did he say what I supposedly sabotaged? No. Just that you're dangerous and vindictive and we should block all your access. 3 dots appeared then. But Lena, things are getting weird. Systems are glitching. Collier's in emergency meetings all day. What's really going on? I typed and deleted 3 responses before settling on. He fired me for stealing something I own. Now he's finding out what that means. Oh my God. You're taking them down, aren't you? I'm just protecting my intellectual property. She sent a skull emoji. Remind me never to cross you. 4 days. 3 days. 2 days. Aisha advised patience. Let them breach your license. Let them keep using your software without authorization. Every hour they operate is another hour of damages we can claim. I set a reminder for Monday, 9 a.m., the exact moment PulseLink's license would expire and become an unauthorized use of my patented technology. Saturday night, I barely slept. Sunday dragged by in slow motion. By Sunday evening, I'd checked the server dashboard 50 times. Crestview systems were running at full capacity, using my software, about to become thieves. I imagined Collier in his home office, celebrating his successful firing of the problem employee, completely unaware that his company's entire infrastructure was about to implode. The thought made me smile for the first time in days. Monday morning, I woke up at 5 a.m., showered, made strong coffee, dressed in my best suit, the one I'd worn to my mother's funeral, armor. At 8:55 a.m., I sat at my kitchen table, laptop open, Aisha on speakerphone. Ready? She asked. Ready. At 8:59, I refreshed the PulseLink admin dashboard. Crestview's authentication logs showed continuous access. Still using my software. Still stealing. 9 a.m. License expired. 1 click. Deactivate. The effect was instantaneous. Every Crestview system that touched PulseLink, which was every system, lost authentication. Error messages cascaded. Access denied. Access denied. Access denied. I watched the server logs light up like a Christmas tree. Frantic reconnection attempts. Hundreds per second. All failing. My phone started buzzing. Text messages from former coworkers whose numbers I hadn't blocked. Everything's down. What's happening? Collier's losing his mind. I silenced my phone and opened Twitter. Within 15 minutes, hashtag CrestViewDown was trending locally. Clients posting angry messages. Employees sharing screenshots of error screens. One tweet made me laugh out loud. First day back from holiday break and at CrestViewTech's entire system is dead. This is fine. Everything is fine. Fire. Aisha called. It's working. Their IT department is calling emergency vendors. None of them can help because they don't have access to your proprietary code. How long until they figure out it's me? Oh, they already know. I'm guessing you'll get a call in about.
My phone rang.
Unknown number. 5 seconds. Don't answer. Let them sweat. I watched it ring. And ring. And ring. Then go to voicemail. 30 seconds later, another call. Then another. Then an email from Wesley. Urgent. System emergency. Need you to call immediately. I marked it as read and smiled. By noon, chaos had metastasized into full corporate meltdown. News sites picked up the story. Local tech company experiences massive system failure. Twitter was merciless. Former employees sharing stories of CrestView's toxic culture. Clients threatening to sue. One competitor posted, "This is what happens when you build your entire business on stolen IP. Karma's real, folks." My email pinged. Subject line, "Final warning. Cease interference with company systems." From Collier himself. I opened it. The message was unhinged, full of legal threats and accusations. He called me vengeful, unprofessional, and criminally negligent. He demanded I restore access immediately or face severe legal consequences. I forwarded it to Aisha, without comment. She called back laughing. "This is perfect. He's admitting they need your system, admitting they can't function without it, and threatening you for not providing free labor after they fired you for theft. What do I do?" Nothing. Let him spiral. We're filing the notice at 2 p.m. At 12:47 p.m., I hit send on the email I'd been drafting for 3 days. Subject: Notice of Intellectual Property Infringement, Pulse Link Systems. Recipient: Collier. Wesley. Patricia. The entire CrestView Board of Directors. Attached: 38 pages of legal documentation. Patent filings. Licensing agreements. Email chains. Timestamped code repositories. And one sentence in bold. CrestView Technologies has willfully and knowingly infringed upon U.S. patent hashtag 10.847.392. Cease all unauthorized use immediately or face damages exceeding $5 million. The response was instant. My phone exploded with calls. 7 voicemails in 10 minutes. Email after email, each more desperate than the last. Wesley: "Lena, please, we can talk about this." Patricia: "Let's all stay calm and professional." Collier: "You're making a huge mistake. You'll never work in this industry again." I blocked them all. Aisha called at 3 p.m. It's officially filed. Federal intellectual property infringement claim. Public record. The press is already requesting comments. What do I say? Nothing yet. Let the lawyers talk. You just sit back and watch them burn. That evening, CrestView issued an emergency press release. "We regret a misunderstanding regarding certain software licensing agreements. We're working to resolve this matter quickly and amicably." The comments were brutal. Misunderstanding? You fired her for stealing her own work. How does a tech company not know who owns their core systems? This is what happens when you treat employees like disposable parts. Someone had leaked my termination email. The full text, Collier's exact words: "You used company resources for a side project. That's theft. You're terminated." The internet tore him apart. By Wednesday, CrestView's stock price had dropped 18%. 3 major clients publicly canceled contracts. Industry analysts were calling it One of the most spectacular self-inflicted corporate wounds in recent memory. An anonymous Crestview employee posted on Reddit, "Emergency board meeting happening now. Colliers screaming at everyone. People are crying. This place is imploding." I read it twice, feeling nothing. No satisfaction. No guilt. Just a strange emptiness. My daughter, Sophie, came home from school and found me staring at my laptop. "Mom, are you okay?" "I don't know, honey. I think so." She hugged me. "The kids at school say you're famous, that you're on the news." I pulled her closer. "For good reasons or bad reasons?" "Good reasons. Everyone says you're a hero, that you stood up to bullies." She looked up at me. "Is that true?" I thought about Collier's sneer, the 12 years of dismissal, the humiliation of that final day. "Yeah, baby, I guess it is." Thursday morning, my phone rang at 7 a.m.
Aisha.
"Turn on Channel 4 News."
Now.
I fumbled for the remote. The anchor was mid-sentence. "Explosive developments in the Crestview Technologies scandal. Documents obtained by this station show a pattern of intellectual property theft spanning multiple employees and projects. Former engineer Lena Andrews is just the latest victim." Victim. I'd never thought of myself that way. The screen showed internal Crestview emails. Wesley bragged about acquiring employee projects. Collier instructed HR to include aggressive IP clauses in all contracts. Patricia advised managers to document everything to protect company ownership. It was systemic, intentional, a business model built on stealing from their own people. My phone buzzed with text messages. Former coworkers I hadn't heard from in years. "Lena, he did the same thing to me. I lost 3 years of work to that bastard. Thank you for fighting back." One message made me cry. "I left Crestview last year because Collier stole my designs. Seeing you stand up gives me hope. Thank you." I wasn't alone. I'd never been alone. Friday afternoon, Collier called. Not from the office. From his personal cell. I answered the speaker, Aisha listening. "Lena." His voice was different. Smaller. "We need to talk. Your lawyers can talk to my lawyer. Please. Just hear me out. This has gotten out of hand." "Out of hand? You fired me for stealing something I own. You humiliated me, destroyed my reputation. And now you want to talk. I made a mistake. We made mistakes. But we can fix this. You come back, we give you a raise, full credit for PulseLink, whatever you want. Just make this stop." Aisha mouthed, "Say nothing." "No hard feelings," Collier continued. "We'll issue a statement clearing your name. You restore access. Everyone moves on." I laughed. Actually, I laughed. "No hard feelings? You called me a thief. You had security escort me out like a criminal. You told everyone I sabotaged your systems." I was angry. No, Collier. You were arrogant. You thought you could take whatever you wanted from people weaker than you. And now you're learning that I'm not weak. I'm not disposable. And I'm definitely not coming back. Silence. Then, quieter. "What do you want?" "I want what I'm owed. Every cent. Every apology. Every minute of my reputation back. And I want you to face consequences for what you did." "You're making a mistake." "No. You made the mistake. I'm just making you pay for it." I hung up. "Okay, I need to stop here and ask you something. Because this is the moment where everything could have gone differently." When Collier called offering me my job back, offering to fix everything, part of me wanted to say yes. To take the easy path. To make the nightmare stop. What would you have done? Would you have taken the deal? Gone back to a place that treated you like garbage, just to avoid the fight? Or would you have done what I did, burned it all down and forced them to face real consequences? Drop your answer in the comments. Because I genuinely want to know if I made the right choice. Me? I chose war. Not because I'm vindictive, but because people like Collier only learn when they lose something that matters to them. And what happened next proved I'd made exactly the right call. The weekend brought a new development. Crestview's board called an emergency meeting. According to leaked minutes, They were exploring options to resolve the Andrews matter before further damage occurs. Translation: they were panicking. Monday morning, 3 board members resigned. The stock dropped another 12%. 2 more clients pulled their contracts. Aisha filed an amended complaint adding damages for emotional distress, reputational harm, and loss of future earnings. The number climbed from $5 million to $8.5 million. Can they even pay that? I asked. Not without liquidating assets. Which is exactly what we want. Hurt them where it counts, the bottom line. That afternoon, the local business journal published an exposé, Crestview Technologies, a culture of theft. They'd interviewed 9 former employees. All told similar stories of idea theft, contract manipulation, and retaliation. Collier's lawyer released a statement calling it a coordinated smear campaign. The internet laughed at him. Tuesday morning, I got an unexpected call. A reporter from TechCrunch. Ms. Andrews? I'm writing a feature about workplace IP theft. Would you be willing to go on record? Aisha approved. Control the narrative. Tell your story before they twist it. The interview lasted 2 hours. I told everything. The 12 years of dedication, the nights I'd spent fixing their systems for free, the moment Collier fired me for stealing my own work. The reporter took notes furiously. This is bigger than just your case. This is about how tech companies exploit workers and claim ownership of their entire creative output. Exactly. And it needs to stop. The article was published Thursday morning. The headline: Engineer Fights Back, How One Woman Exposed Silicon Valley's Dirty Secret. By noon, it had 800,000 views. By evening, over 2 million. My face was everywhere: news sites, Twitter, LinkedIn, even TikTok. Someone made me into a meme. Patent pending, revenge delivered. I showed Sophie.
She grinned.
Mom, you're viral. Is that good? In this case?
Yeah.
It's really good. The attention brought unexpected support. A venture capital firm reached out, interested in funding PulseLink as an independent product. A major tech company offered me a job, 6 figures, full benefits, and will never question your IP rights. But the most meaningful message came from someone I'd never met. Dear Ms. Andrews, I'm a software engineer in Chicago. Last year, my company tried to claim ownership of an app one built at home. I didn't fight back because I was scared. Seeing your story gave me courage. I'm filing my own patent claim tomorrow. Thank you for showing us we can fight back. I read it 3 times, tears blurring the words. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about every engineer, every designer, every creative person who'd ever been told, your ideas belong to us. Aisha called. Crestview's lawyers want to settle. My heart jumped. For how much? Full amount. $8.5 million. Plus a public apology and acknowledgement of your patent rights. They're really agreeing to that? They don't have a choice. Their clients are leaving. Their reputation is ruined. They're hemorrhaging money. This is their Hail Mary. What do you think I should do?
Take it.
You've won. Make them pay, take your money, and move on to bigger things. I thought about it for exactly 10 seconds. Set up the meeting. The settlement negotiation took place in a sterile conference room downtown. Crestview's legal team, for lawyers and expensive suits, sat across from Aisha and me. Collier wasn't there. Wesley wasn't there. They'd sent lawyers to clean up their mess. The lead attorney slid papers across the table. Ms. Andrews, we're prepared to offer the full settlement amount of $8.5 million, payable within 30 days. In exchange, you'll restore PulseLink access and sign a mutual non-disparagement agreement. Aisha reviewed the documents. The non-disparagement clause is unacceptable. My client has a right to tell her story. We need protection from further reputational damage. You damaged your own reputation by committing intellectual property theft. That's not my client's problem. 90 minutes of back and forth. Finally, they agreed. Full settlement, no non-disparagement clause, public acknowledgement of my patent rights, and a formal apology to be issued by the board of directors. I signed. They signed. It was done. Walking out of that building, I felt 10 pounds lighter. Aisha hugged me. You did it. You beat them. We did it. No, Lena. This was all you. You had the courage to fight when most people would have walked away. The settlement hit my account exactly 30 days later. $8.5 million. After taxes and legal fees, I cleared $5.2 million. More money than I'd ever dreamed of. But the money wasn't the victory. The victory was watching Crestview's stock drop another 20% after the settlement went public. The victory was Collier's resignation, forced by the board, effective immediately. The victory was the message I received from Nina. Lena, you saved my life. They found all of Collier's IP theft and fired 3 managers. They're completely restructuring. People are actually getting credit for their work now.
Thank you.
The victory was Sophie reading the news coverage and saying, Mom, you're my hero. That was worth more than any dollar amount. I used part of the settlement to launch Pulse Link Labs, an independent consulting firm specializing in intellectual property protection for engineers and designers. Within 3 months, we had 17 clients. By 6 months, 42. All people who'd been exploited by companies like Crestview. All people who needed someone in their corner. I hired Nina as my first employee. Then 2 other former Crestview engineers who'd had their work stolen. We became known as the company that fought back and won. The business press loved the story. From fired engineer to IP rights champion, the Lena Andrews story. But my favorite moment came 6 months later at a tech conference. A young engineer approached me nervously. Ms. Andrews? I just wanted to say thank you. I'm starting my first job next week, and because of your story, I know to protect my rights. I filed a patent for my thesis project before signing my contract. I hugged her. That's exactly what you should do. Never let anyone take what's yours. Can I get a selfie? My professor won't believe I met you. We took the photo. She walked away grinning. That's when I knew this was what winning actually looked like. Not everything was smooth. The attention brought scrutiny. Industry forums debated whether I'd been too aggressive. Some commenters called me vindictive, greedy, a troublemaker. One particularly nasty article called me the engineer who destroyed a company over a grudge. Sophie found me crying over it one night. Mom, why are people being mean? Because standing up for yourself makes some people uncomfortable, honey. Especially when you're a woman. That's stupid.
Yeah.
It really is. But for every negative comment, there were dozens of supportive ones. Engineers sharing their own stories. Women thanked me for fighting back. People saying, you showed us it's possible. Aisha reminded me, the people who are angry are the ones who benefit from the system you exposed. Of course they're mad. You threatened their power. She was right. And their anger just proved we were changing something important. A year after the settlement, I got an email I never expected. From Collier. Subject: an apology long overdue. I almost deleted it. But curiosity won. Lena, I know I have no right to contact you. I know you probably hate me. I just wanted you to know that I've spent this year in therapy, really examining my behavior and the culture I created at Crestview. You were right about everything. I was arrogant, exploitative, and cruel. I took credit for other people's work because I was insecure about my own abilities. I destroyed careers because it made me feel powerful. And I'm sorry. Truly, deeply sorry. You deserved better. Everyone deserved better. I know this doesn't fix anything, but I wanted you to know that I understand what I did wrong. And I'm trying to be better. Preston Collier. I read it 3 times. Showed it to Aisha. What do you think? She asked. I think maybe he's actually learned something. Which is more than I expected. Are you going to respond? I thought about it. Yeah, I think I will. I wrote back. Collier, I appreciate the apology. I hope you use this experience to actually help people instead of exploiting them. Good luck. Lena.
Short.
Civil. Final. I hit send and closed the chapter. 2 years later, Pulse Link Labs had grown to a team of 32. We'd helped over 200 engineers protect their intellectual property, recovered millions in settlements, changed employment contracts at 17 companies. I got invited to speak at tech conferences, wrote articles for major publications, became an advocate for workplace IP rights reform. But the moment I'm proudest of? Starting the PulseLink Foundation, a nonprofit that provides free legal support to engineers who can't afford to fight back on their own. Last month, we helped a recent college grad, a young woman named Tasha, fight her former employer's IP claim. She developed an algorithm for sustainable energy distribution, and her company tried to claim ownership even though she'd built it during her senior year, before she was hired. We won. She kept her patent. She launched her startup. At the victory celebration, she hugged me. "You saved my life. Literally saved my future." "No," I said. "You saved your own future. You just needed someone to remind you that you could fight back." That's what we do now. We remind people they're not powerless. Today, I'm sitting in my office at PulseLink Labs, looking at the framed patent on my wall. U.S. Patent hashtag 10-847-392, the PulseLink system that started everything. Collier thought he could steal it. Thought he owned me and everything I created. He learned the hard way that innovation belongs to the innovator, that you can't build an empire on other people's stolen ideas. Eventually, the truth comes out. Sometimes I think about that moment in the conference room, the smell of burnt coffee, his smug face, the folder slamming on the table. The moment my life imploded. But that implosion became a foundation for something better. Something I built myself, on my own terms, helping people fight the same battles I fought. Last week, Sophie asked me if I regret how everything happened. Do you wish it had been different? That they'd never fired you? I thought about it. I really thought about it. No, honey, because if they hadn't fired me, I'd still be there. Still overworked. Still undervalued. Still watching mediocre men take credit for my work. So you're glad it happened? I'm glad I fought back. I'm glad I didn't let them win. And I'm glad other people saw me fight back and found their own courage. She hugged me. You're kind of a badass, Mom. Language, young lady. But I'm not wrong.
No.
She wasn't wrong. Because here's what I learned. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you becomes the catalyst for the best thing you ever did. Sometimes getting fired for stealing your own patent leads to building an empire, a real one, built on integrity and justice. And sometimes, the manager who yanks your work out from under you doesn't realize he just awakened someone who'll change the entire industry. Power isn't given. Power is built, line by line, case by case, victory by victory. And I'm just getting started.